All right, guys, I'm going to spare you the details, but basically what happened is we lost our last three games. So we have a 6-11 record, and that means that we were going to have a much higher draft pick, which is a positive. But of course, we also didn't make the playoffs. We kind of knew we didn't make the playoffs right after we lost 24-0 to the Eagles. We didn't statistically even have a chance, so we kind of just went into full tank mode. And I'm going to spare you from having to watch the last three games of the season, trying to play without having any opportunity to actually make the playoffs. But we got some upgrades after saving them up for the end of the year. DK Metcalf is going to get up to a 92 overall and boost his physical to finally get him up there. He should be a 90 in deep threat as well. And this is going to boost his short route, trucking, spec catch, release. And so the stats across the board are looking pretty fantastic. And then looking at Draymond Jones is going to go up to an 81. We're just going to boost his run stopper. Mike Jackson, we're going to boost his slot, because I see him more as a slot corner anyways, just with the skill set that he has. Plus 4 to man coverage, this is going to get him up to 78 man. He still only has 70 zone, which is surprisingly low. And then we're going to auto-upgrade the rest of our players, because we already know Draymond Jones, we want to upgrade his run stopping. And so, let's take a look at the stats for the end of the season, and then we'll get to the free agency and the draft for this year. All right, looking at the stats for the year, Geno finished with 31 touchdowns and 24 picks. Look away, it's ugly. It is really ugly. And he had a 55% completion percentage. He was on pace originally for over 300 passing yards per game, but that really fell off towards the end of the season. I don't even really know why. We passed the ball, I felt like, at the same rate as we always had. Charbonnet finished with 600 rushing yards, 6 TDs, and then McIntosh didn't have a single rushing touchdown, averaged 3.7 per carry in the 30 carries that he got. Geno with 44 carries, had 4 rushing touchdowns himself. Yeah, there were some major, there were some breakout seasons for some people, like DK Metcalf, 1,500 receiving yards, by far his most of his career. 13 receiving touchdowns as well, which is also a career high. JSN with 820 for his rookie season and 6 touchdowns. Noah Fant with his most receiving yards of his career in a season. And then Tyler Lockett, a down year, but 5 TDs is not that bad. Kenny McIntosh with a receiving touchdown as well, averaging about 10 yards per game, even though he only came on for like the last 5 or 6 games of the season. Dwayne Eskridge with 1 touchdown on only 6 catches. And that was in the Niners game. And then defensively, Quandre Diggs leading the team in tackles. Bobby the second in tackles, which is kind of surprising because Bobby was subbed out at several points for Jordan Brooks early in the season. And then leading in sacks is Draymond Jones, and then Jerron Reed, Jordan Brooks, Bobby Wagner, Julian Love. And we have a couple other contributors as well. But nothing really consistent. No elite pass rusher specifically. Interceptions, Quandre leading with 5, Tariq with 4, Bobby with 3, Julian with 3, Devin Bush with 2 going down the line, and Devin Witherspoon also had 2, but missed most of the end of the season with that torn labrum. And then forced fumbles, leading the way, Bobby Wagner with 2, Derek Hall with 2, Tariq with 1, and then Devin Witherspoon, Draymond Jones, and Jerron Reed. Defensive touchdowns, had a couple on the season, Mike Morris with 1 of them on a fumble recovery, Devin Bush, Quandre Diggs, and Tariq Woolen. And looking at the awards for this year, I actually haven't checked, and I don't know if we had any chance of winning any awards. I doubt we had anyone for MVP. And then for the NFC, Offensive Player of the Year, it looks like DK is going to win that one. I did not even realize the 1,500 receiving yards and 13 TDs that was going to get him Offensive Player of the Year. That's great. Defensive Player of the Year, I didn't think we'd have anybody. Offensive Rookie of the Year, JSN finishing 4th, and Charbonnet finishing 8th. McIntosh even getting into the top 10. That's pretty surprising. Defensive Rookie of the Year, nobody. Devin Witherspoon had a chance, but because he missed the last 5 or 6 games, he did not make it. As quarterback, Geno didn't even finish in the top 10 with those 24 picks. That was a very Jameis Winston-like season. Best running back, no one in the top 10 makes sense. DK finishing number 1 makes the most sense. And then no one else. Tyler Lockett obviously having a down year again. Best offensive line, Brandon Scherf finishing 5th. And then Anthony Bradford, the backup for Brandon Scherf, finishing 9th. That's kind of odd. Best defensive line, no one for D-line, which makes sense again based off of our lack of pressure. Best linebacker, Bobby getting number 8 ahead of Fred Warner, which is pretty crazy. Love to bring Bobby back for next season. He is not re-signed, though. Best defensive back, Quandre finishing 3rd, Tariq finishing 5th. And that is it for the award winners. So ultimately, Offensive Player of the Year and Best Wide Receiver is going to go to DK, and no one else has won any other award. A quick look at the playoff bracket. If you were curious, the Cowboys, who we actually beat this year, finish as the number 1 seed and get the first round bye. The Vikings make it. The Cardinals make it. The Niners are the 3 seed. The Giants, Panthers, and Packers. And over on the AFC side, the Bengals are going to have the bye. And the typical teams that you'd expect to see in the AFC playoffs are there. And then since Aaron Rodgers is healthy, the Jets made the playoffs as the 4 seed. Taking a quick peek at the Pro Bowl rosters to see if we've got anyone. We should at least have DK Metcalf on here, and DK is the wide receiver 4, even though he got Offensive Player of the Year, which is kind of strange. And then do we have anyone else? Noah Fant, the tight end 3. I'd love to see that behind Mercedes Lewis, which is, again, kind of strange. And then do we have any offensive linemen on here? We should have... No, we don't. Looking at defensive line, makes sense that we don't have anyone on the defensive line. And at linebacker, no. Corner, we don't have anyone at corner. We have Quandre Diggs at free safety and Julian Love at strong safety. We have a good amount of players making it, and Rashad Penny is a kick returner for the NFC, which is weird. And he's obviously not on our team, but just weird to point that out. And this is a strange year. So the Ravens make it to the Super Bowl, beating the Bengals 14-7. And over on the NFC side, the Cowboys lose, of course, like they always do. They lose in the first round of the divisional that they played in because they had the bye, losing to the Packers by 1. And then the Packers lose to the Vikings in the NFC Championship. So it's going to be Ravens versus Vikings, 2 purple teams in the Super Bowl. Looking again at the recap for the season, the Ravens end up winning the Super Bowl. Marlon Humphrey is the Super Bowl MVP. MVP of the league goes to Dak Prescott. Coach of the Year goes to Zach Taylor. Josh Allen for Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year is Von Miller. Bijan for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Defensive Rookie of the Year going to Deontay Banks. All right, looking at mock draft number 3, just to see where some teams are projected to draft from and who they're projected to take. Steven Sweet is projected to go number 1 overall, a left end. And then we got a left tackle, another left end, an edge rushing outside linebacker, Dwight Jones, a right tackle, another outside linebacker, and then Amir Alexander is who we're supposed to be taking at number 8. That's a little bit of a reach for him. I do want to take him, of course, but I don't know that I want to take him at number 8. And then looking down the list a little bit further, you can see a couple of other players that we were looking at getting taken. And really, I might be eyeing Toby Nowak, actually, as our pick, an edge rusher. Larger sort of speed rusher. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6" as a speed rusher. And I've mentioned this before, but looking at players, this is our last chance to re-sign anybody before free agency hits, and they all go to free agency. Again, we're at -$3 million in cap space, which means we can't re-sign any of these players. So Jordan Brooks, Uchenna Nwosu, and Damian Lewis are all going to free agency, and we're not going to get a chance to re-sign them. We'd really want to make sure we pick up Damian Lewis. So we might have enough money once we get to free agency. We'll wait and see. And then we're going to be losing, again, we're going to lose Evan Brown, our starting center. We might lose our left guard in Damian Lewis. We could lose our backup quarterback, and we could lose Bobby Wagner as well, our starting middle linebacker, who's regressed to only an 86, which is not that bad. But we will have to wait and see next week. All right, so the good news to start free agency is that we have $11 million in cap space, so we will be able to sign some players. Bobby has no interest in re-signing with us, which is kind of hurts. And I don't even know that we have enough money. If that's how much he wants, then we'll be able to get him. But we could wait for him to drop and go into free agency to start the season. That's a little bit risky. But at his age, I really can't justify paying a lot of money on him right now with the amount of holes we have on this team, given the amount of players we just lost. Like, we just lost Jordan Brooks, who's in free agency. And so looking through this list, the number 1 guy I want to make sure I re-sign, though, is Damian Lewis, our left guard. But there are a lot of interesting players available right now, too. Damian Lewis has very little interest in re-signing, but let's see if we can afford him even. Offer him this. Looks like that is a good amount of interest. That is basically all of our money. We can't afford to get anybody else. Let's see if he has agreed. We are his top offer right now. So let's see again if he changes his mind. He's still... see. So we got Damian Lewis with very little interest. We did pay him quite a bit, to keep him, which, you know, we kind of expected because he got to free agency in the first place that he was going to get a lot of money. So that does suck. But we got back our young left guard with Stardev, which is one of the most important things. Trying to build a great offensive line is really important, especially with less mobile quarterbacks. And so it's great to get Damian Lewis back, but that is basically the end of our free agency for the time being. All right, mock draft 5 has come out. It's like Jonathan Hall might begin taken number 1 overall by the Rams, who finished with the worst record. And that would be a mistake because he is we can see he's around 1 to 2 talent. But looking at later, so right now, who I'm looking at is not Amir Alexander. If he's available in the second, I would like to take him. But who I'm actually looking at is either Toby Nowak or Glenn Whitfield. Now, there's 2 reasons why I would want either one of these players that high. So Toby Nowak, I mean, if you just look at his stats, the guy is 6'5", he's 244 pounds, 22 years old. He's a little bit on the low side for weight at 6'5", but he runs a 4.5 flat at left outside linebacker, probably going to be playing as an edge rusher, right? He's very strong still, 3rd in bench press. He has C-man coverage, F zone, doesn't really matter. The important thing to look at is his block shed's a B, his tackle's an A. He is supposed to be a speed rusher, so if he has B block shed, that means he has at least B finesse move, but he probably has A. He could have B, A, or C power moves as well. He's got good pursuit. So I think that he could be a generational defensive end or, you know, edge rusher. But we just don't know for sure because we can't see what his power and finesse move look like specifically. Glenn Whitfield is another really interesting player. And so there's some things about Glenn Whitfield that aren't that interesting. Like he runs a 4.44. Not exceptionally fast at 6'2". He doesn't have like 95, 96 speed. But he is very quick. And the next thing is that he's got A hit power, A awareness, A kick return, and A man coverage and B play recognition. The crazy thing is that you don't typically see A hit power with A man coverage for a safety. He does have only C zone coverage, but he is a versatile 6'2 safety that could play linebacker, could play corner even with A man coverage potentially, depending on how good it is. And he has elite hit power and hopefully decent block shed. Well, he's got a D block shed, so not great block shed, but at minimum, he should be able to hit people really hard over the middle, play a little bit of slot, and he has really high awareness, so he should be able to make good plays, really high play rec, decent pursuit. The main thing, really, though, is just that, yeah, again, very high hit power, very high man coverage, and at 6'2", he can cover the middle of the field really well as a slot DB, or he could just play traditional safety as well. But the thing is, do we need another safety? We already have Julian Love. We already have Quandre Diggs. We already have Rayshawn Jenkins as well. So it's a matter of need partially too. Do we need him? Not necessarily, but could he remake the defense a little bit and make it even better? That is a possibility. Toby Nowak is more of a known quantity. We don't know his finesse move or his power move, but we know that we need to get edge rushers on this team that can actually get to the quarterback. He is a 6'5", 244-pound freak with a 4.4 or 4.5 40. So we are most likely going Toby Nowak, but the jury is still out. Now, here is the good thing is we do have private workouts, so we are going to give one of them to Toby Nowak. We are going to give one of them to, who else are we looking at specifically? Darren Mayweather, we already know he's going to be very good. His catch is very low is the only thing that's a little strange about him, but he is extremely fast. Let's maybe go to Darren Mayweather. He's a dark horse candidate for a draft pick. Amir Alexander, we have him pretty much scouted. We know he's going to be pretty good. If we can get him in the second round, he'll be fantastic. And then the last one we will use on... I don't think we need to use one on Glenn Whitfield is the thing. So let's use it. Let's see, who else? Let's use it on a Ricky Buckley because we want to see what his run blocking is. We already know he's a great pass protector. And if we can get him in the third and fourth, we definitely are going to take him at center because he is great value. He might even be better than the number 1 center on the board. We're going to scout them, and then we'll see before the draft if we're taking Nowak or if we're taking Whitfield. It is draft day, boys. Let's see here if we learn anything more about Toby Nowak. So he's at 95%. We should know basically everything about him then. So looking at his skills, A finesse, and C power move. So his power move is not that bad. His block shed's a B. A finesse with that type of speed, that type of size. Play recognition's pretty poor. His pursuit's decent. Hit power is okay. Tackle's an A. Is that enough? Is A finesse and B block shed enough? I think it is. He is good enough at block shedding. He's very strong. So even though he's got a very small frame at 244 pounds for 6'5", he is, the second or third strongest edge rusher, or left outside linebacker at least. And he is by far the fastest left outside linebacker. And he's only 0.6 slower than the safety we're looking at. So I think we have to go Nowak. I'm going to be disappointed if he turns out to be a bust, but I just don't see how he could be given the stats he has. So let's get into the draft, and we'll see how things go. I'm really interested to see the Rams pick to begin with. So the Rams do draft Jonathan Hall, number 1 overall. Definitely a reach because we know he's around 1 to 2 talent, not a top 5 pick. So they definitely stretched and reached on that pick. But they did need a QB, I suppose. Matt Stafford wasn't doing it for them, I guess. They decided to finally move on from him. Steven Sweet. If the Commanders still have Montez Sweat, they could have Sweet and Sweat on the same team as edge rushers. That'd be interesting. The Pats take Chauncey McQueen, another speed rusher. Jamar Grove, another speed rusher, going to the Chargers out of Stanford. And then Matthew Britton, I think he is a power rusher out of Oregon, going to the Lions. And then the Buccaneers do draft Dwight Jones, the right tackle. And then the last pick before us is going to go to the Bears, and the Bears are going to take Keegan Howard. So now it's time to make our pick. We've already talked about it enough. I think we know who we're going to pick. I love Glenn Whitfield, and he's going to come off the board before we have a chance to take him potentially. And we could try to trade up, but we just don't have enough. We don't have enough room to take him at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like, we lost so many players in free agency. We don't have a whole lot to trade in terms of players left over. So we're going to go for Toby Nowak. Tell me he is elite. So he's got 86 speed, 90 excel, 85 jumping, and looking at his skills, we can't see more specifically. We don't know what his overall is, but he is hidden dev, so I am happy about that. But so far, I'm pretty happy about it. 86 speed for a 6'5" edge rusher. Pretty happy about it. Okay, so the Cardinals take Shaquille Leonard. That is definitely a reach. I've seen him on the board before. Our next pick is the 8th pick in the second round. I do want to see where everyone goes, though. The Jaguars take B.J. Roll, cornerback from Georgia. He was initially supposed to go pretty high. Marco Hudson, didn't even scout him. I didn't look at Nick Wilson too much. Going to the Glenn Whitfield finally went to the Raiders. Falcons take Wyatt McAllister, a very good tight end. Definitely more of a route technician. Derek Betts going to the Saints. Colts are taking Nate Phillips, the left tackle. And then the Dolphins are going to grab Jordan Walton, the wide receiver. So Darren Mayweather is still on there. The Eagles take Darren Mayweather. Oh, man. They have 3 really good wide receivers now. Darren Mayweather ran a 4.26 40. So they've got, now they've got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They can get rid of Quez Watkins because now they got Darren Mayweather, who is just a way better receiver. The only thing about him is his catching isn't great. Darrell Jeffries, tight end out of Auburn, going to the Bears. He's a very good, versatile 6'3" tight end. Sean Washington, pretty solid wide receiver, going to Cardinals. And then Brett Richards, strong safety. I didn't even look at Brett Richards, going to the Giants. Christopher Potts, wide receiver, going to the Jets. David Rogers, the center that was supposed to go in the first, does go to the Titans. So Alexander Harrison, probably the most athletic tight end in the draft, goes to the Chiefs. Interesting combo to pair with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Roderick McPhee, the corner, going to the Broncos. The Bills taking Kyrie Douglas, the halfback. I think it's the first halfback off the board. Niners, interested to see who they take. They take Keon Maxey, free safety out of Miami. Cowboys take Kevin Gilliam, left guard. And Packers take free safety Dalton Drummond. Pretty cool name. And we're getting close to the second round now. Marion Reynolds, halfback out of Oklahoma, going to the Bengals. Just could be a potential, potential never. Oh, I can't even speak. Toby Adams is going. And John Chamberlain, the number 1 right guard, going to the Ravens. And so the first pick of the second round now going to the Rams. They take Mitch Bradham. That's a pretty awesome name. Going to straight out of Baylor. Cody Whitaker, QB out of Houston, going to the Commanders. They definitely need a quarterback. Pats taking Adrian Brown, so stocking up on defensive players after already drafting Chauncey McQueen. Zay Weston, free safety out of UW, going to the Chargers. The Lions taking Marcus Hennings, left tackle out of Virginia Tech. Bucks taking, let's see who, Jelani Carroll, corner out of Kansas State. And the last one before us, the Bears take Amir Alexander. Oh my God, they snatched him right before us. We wanted him to fall to us, but he got taken right in front of us. That is a bummer. Let's see if we can grab anyone else. All right, so now after looking at all the potential players that are available in the second round at the 8th pick overall, Kenya Porter is one that sticks out. So he's projected to go first to second, and he is kind of like the antithesis of Toby Nowak, who we just drafted, who is a 6'5", 4'5" speed rushing demon. This guy is just a pure run stopper at 6'3", 320 pounds. He's a thick boy. He can play some D tackle. He can fill in for where Amir Alexander would have been. He's got A block, B power move. He's not very fast, but you don't need your potentially D tackle, because we would shift him from right into D tackle. You don't need him to be that fast. He is extremely strong. He has a 40 for reps on the bench press, which is pretty insane, I think. I haven't seen one in the 40s as far as I recall, but extremely strong, really good run stopper. We already have players like that on the team. But if you look at the other players available, I don't know that I want to spend our second round pick on anyone else. The only other person that is up in that range right now is just this one. Let's see, Rick Buckley is third to fourth. He's got a first round talent, so we know that he's got it, but we could wait one more round and potentially take that gamble. But let's see. So the other one is Christian Patterson, who could fill in for Jordan Brooks' absence because we did not get Jordan Brooks back. This guy has A tackle, A pursuit, B block shed, most likely B zone coverage. Going to be a very good outside linebacker and could easily be shifted to an interior linebacker as well. He's very athletic, pretty fast, very strong, great run stopper. So we could take Christian Patterson, or we could let him slide because he's around 2 to 3, and we can take Kenya Porter instead. And I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take that gamble. We're gonna take Kenya Porter, and we're gonna hope that the center and the outside linebacker stay on the board. And Kenya Porter is also hidden dev, 92 strength, 72 speed, 85 excel. Could be a really good D tackle for us. He looks very skinny for being 320 pounds though. All right, so we just traded Will Dissly and a second-round pick for next year for the Titans' second-round pick midway through the draft because we want to make sure that we don't get one of our prospects scooped up here. And I was getting a little bit worried that one of them was going to get taken. So again, we just took Kenya Porter, and the two players that we're still looking at taking are, let's see here, we got Christian Patterson, who we would like to take, and we also have the center, who is going to be around 3 to 4 projections. So hopefully he doesn't get scooped up before the third round at the beginning at the 8th pick. I hope he stays that long because we are going to take Christian Patterson here, who I think is a really good outside linebacker. And he is also hidden dev with 87 speed, 89 excel. Pretty good change of direction, pretty solid strength. We're going to have to wait to see more, but he's only 21 years old, which I do love about him as well. But he looks like he could be fantastic with A tackle, A play rec, A pursuit. Looks like he is going to be a fantastic fill-in for Jordan Brooks. All right, getting into the third round now, getting close to our pick. Brandon Hillman, the wide receiver, gets selected. Josh Sutton, who we took a little bit of a look at, gets picked. Keith Kemp, wide receiver out of Miami, goes to the Pats. Stanley Watkins, corner from Kansas, goes to the Chargers. Another corner goes to the Lions. Buccaneers, drafting Chris Wilcox, and please don't take our center. You just took Amir Alexander. Please don't take our center too. Okay, they drafted Kayvon Mason, who's also a pretty solid prospect, but that is going to leave the center to us, so we can finally get a replacement for Evan Brown, who we lost to free agency anyways. So Evan Brown here is a first-round talent. We know that, or not Evan Brown, Ricky Buckley, the 6'2" pass-protecting center, round 3 to 4 talent, diamond in the rough, round 1 talent. And he's normal dev. Don't know his overall, but that is surprising. Only 23 years old. Going to be a really good, you can see, he's got 8 impact blocking, His injury rating is a little bit low. His lead block isn't fantastic, but he is a great pass protector. His run blocking is kind of average. I think he could be in the high 70s going straight out. But to be normal dev is a little bit of a bummer. But we have hit on 3 straight players with hidden dev. Damian Arrington and James Yates go back-to-back at the middle linebacker spot. I was kind of interested in drafting either one of them. They both looked really good. But we'll have to see what their overalls were after the draft. So one going to the Colts, and then James Yates goes to the Dolphins in the 3rd. All right, we're going to take Damian Ricard. Didn't scout him too much, but he's a 6'3", 22-year-old strong safety with decent hit power, decent zone coverage. His man coverage, we don't know what it is, but at worst, it's a C. Pretty good athlete. And overall, just a decent all-around player, decent pursuit. At the 3rd round, I didn't want to take anyone else. Let's see how good he is. He has a hidden overall. He has normal dev, which kind of sucks, but he is... he's a player that's going to develop behind our other safeties. Again, we're deep at safety. This is just a backup to have. We thought maybe we could move him to linebacker potentially, or we could move him cornerback, but it looks like... Can't see what his man or zone coverage is, but doesn't really have the speed to be a corner. All right, start of the 4th round. The Rams are going to draft Sammy McCree, a left end out of Utah. Commanders are taking J.P. Timmons, a tight end that I was kind of looking at out of Duke. Jose Monroe out of Clemson, the halfback going to the Pats. Henry Dawkins, a DT, going to the Chargers. Chargers stacking up on defensive linemen. Caleb Farley, QB out of East Carolina, going to Minnesota. And then Ron Cutler, center, getting drafted to the Bucks. And Bears drafting Jerry Casey, a free safety. Got our pick again here. We're going to take Shane Kirkland here. He is originally a day 3 projection, but is actually around 2 to 3 talent. 6'2", 22 years old out of San Diego State. He's B's in everything for his key ratings. And if you look at his speed, he runs a 4.43, which is pretty dang fast for a QB. He's got a very high injury rating, really good juke move, good throw on the run, and he has normal dev. He's got 90 speed, 90 excel. The thing about him is he may be able to play more than just the quarterback position based off of his athleticism. I don't know that I actually want him to be our backup quarterback or our future quarterback, especially given that he has normal dev. We'll go ahead and move forward in the draft. Looking at another linebacker prospect, this guy is 22 as well, out of Baylor, 6 feet tall. He is pretty athletic, runs a 4.54 at middle linebacker. His block shedding is not great. His awareness, man coverage, and zone coverage are good. So he's a bit more of a pass coverage guy, as we said before. And he is probably just going to be a depth guy at this point. I mean, what do you expect for the 5th round? Going to take him, and we don't know what his overall is, but his stats look pretty solid. Not anything we didn't expect, I would say. All right, in the 6th round here, a fullback that we had on here was actually already taken. And just looking at the general board here, there's nobody that I really want to take. So Dion Gooden, 6'1". This guy is supposed to be a deep threat. He is very fast. I think I might take him. And here's the thing. He runs a 4.29, but if you look at his speed, it only says great, and his excel is only good. I think we might get catfished a little bit here by his 40 time. And so I am going to take him here because he is around 2 to 3 projection, but clearly all the teams have stayed away from him because look at his short route, his medium route, his catch and traffic, his deep route. They're all really bad. He's clearly just a deep threat. I'm going to see if he's got the carrying to be a kick returner, a special teamer, or potentially a backup running back, sort of in that Kenny McIntosh mold. I doubt he will, but he is very fast. We'll have to wait and see if he can do anything. For our last pick, we're going to pick, let's see, is Spencer really worth it? He's got 8 pass blocking at 6'2". He's pretty fast. We're going to take Spencer, who has hidden dev for a fullback. Like to see that. Decently athletic. And could fill in now that we've traded away Will Dissly. So I do like that pickup. All right, looking at the players we drafted. So I think we did pretty well. Nobody that is an 80. But Toby Nowak is, let's look at his, he's got 77 finesse, 86 speed, 90 excel with hidden dev. Kind of reminding me of the D-end Sean Hazelwood that we drafted last year. But I think Sean Hazelwood was more of a power move guy. But Toby Nowak will hopefully bring us, at least at 97 stamp, decent injury. If he stays on the field, I think he'll bring us some versatility. 76 block shed's pretty damn good too. Kenya Porter is, again, the exact opposite. Going to be moved to D tackle. It's a 73, 78 block shed. 85 excel is pretty good. 92 strength, so very strong. Good hit power. His finesse isn't good. His power is okay. It's at least passable. Now, Christian Patterson is the highest one. 75 overall. 75 is a run stopper. He's got 87 speed, 89 excel. His zone coverage is pretty meh, but it's actually better than Jordan Brooks was. Block shedding is 76, which is pretty good. Pursuit is pretty fantastic as well. So he, I think, can fill in for what we're going to be missing from Jordan Brooks. Ricky Buckley is a 75. We drafted him all the way in the third. Normal dev, but he'll be able to start immediately. His run blocking is okay, but his pass blocking is really good. Now looking at Damian Ricard, he's a bit of a miss at strong safety. He's going to just be kind of depth at strong safety, filling in where needed. Hit power, supposed to be a B, is only 76. It's not great. His man coverage isn't great. His zone coverage isn't that great either, but I think he could develop over time. He's only 22, so he could become a rotation piece later on. Shane Kirkland, he has normal dev. He's a 71 overall. He's primarily a scrambler, very athletic, good throw power. Accuracy is not bad. Awareness is what's holding him back a little bit, I think, but kind of looks just like Drew Lock now that he's wearing number 2, which I kind of don't like, but he may be able to play more than one position. So don't worry, I am not looking at anything else or adjusting anything. I'm just looking to see if he can play another position. His deep route running suggests that he can maybe not play anything besides running back if he has high enough carrying. His carrying isn't high enough, so he is just strictly an athletic QB, which is a little bit disappointing. I was hoping for a multi-positional player. And then Casey Thompson, the middle linebacker we were looking at, he is a 66. And so just a rotational player again, decent finesse move, good zone. He's going to be a solid backup. And then Gooden here is not bad for a late pick, a 67 overall. The thing that we are expecting is that his route running is bad, which it is. His catching isn't great, and it's not. His carrying is too low to be a halfback, unfortunately. That's the bummer, is he could have been a backup halfback for us. Change of pace sort of player. Could have been another speed back if Kenneth Walker was injured again for whatever reason, which I'm hoping that does not happen again. But looks like he is really just a deep threat guy, kind of like a D. Eskridge type of receiver, and that's okay. Spencer, with the most ridiculous name, is actually a utility fullback despite having A pass blocking. He's got 78 lead block. He's got 81 speed, 82 excel. He's hidden dev, got pretty good pass blocking, and run blocking is pretty okay. Catching is decent. Route running is not great. Kind of like a tight end. We could develop him. We could use him. We have used fullbacks in the past. He might be worth it. We'll see. Now, we're looking to see if we missed out on anybody. And kind of like we thought, Mir Alexander was a fantastic player. He is hidden dev. He's a 76 overall run stopper. He's got 91 strength. Got pretty good block shed, pretty good power move. So it's unfortunate that he got drafted right before us. But I am pretty okay with Kenya, who we took. But this guy is going to be fantastic, without a doubt. And then there was Stephen Sweet, who was the highest overall in the entire draft, getting picked second overall out of Florida State. He is a power rusher, and he's pretty slow, but he's going to be a good counter to Montez Sweat. He's just more of a pure speed rusher. BJ Roll is a 76 overall. Glenn Whitfield, the other guy we were looking at potentially taking, 6'2". He is hidden dev as well. I really don't want to miss on this guy. So he's got 77 man, which is pretty damn good. 75 zone, 91 speed, 90 hit power. His stats are looking pretty good. The block shed's pretty bad, so he isn't the perfect sort of nickel or box safety that I'd like to see. I'd like to see a safety with higher block shed, but for 90 hit power, his man coverage is pretty damn good. Now, there is one guy that we wanted to trade for that we didn't get the chance to take. So I really want to trade for Sheldon Daniels. He has normal dev. I could see him actually potentially being a future starter for us. So he is 22 years old out of UTSA, so just a road runner just like Tariq Woolen. He's 6'3", and he has a 93 throw power, which is pretty damn good. His accuracy is clearly lacking, so that is why he would be sitting behind Geno Smith. His athleticism is there, though, as well. He's got 85 speed and 90 excel. I'm going to go ahead and try to trade for Sheldon Daniels to be our backup QB. And then Shane Kirkland, I don't see him being anything more than kind of an athlete. All right, so we don't have enough money to actually sign Sheldon Daniels or trade for him outright. So we have to actually clear some cap, which means we have to cut some players. And there are already players I know I want to cut. So we're going to start off with numero uno, Dwayne Eskridge, who I've wanted to get off this team for a long time. I would like to trade him, but I can't because we can't take any players back or any picks back either. So we are going to have to just go ahead and get rid of him by releasing him. So we're going to take a little bit of a hit on the release, but I am willing to do that. And we're also going to be getting rid of Jerron Reed, unfortunately. I don't really want to get rid of him, but we have to clear the cap. And clearing him off the salary cap gets us into the green a little bit. Monet, we also have to get rid of, unfortunately, who was our backup D tackle. We're going to go ahead and get rid of Cam Bright. I do kind of like Cam Bright, and he's got good speed, excel. I just can't justify keeping him on the roster with the other linebackers we have on the team at this point. And so, do we have enough money now to trade for Sheldon Daniels? We'll see. All right, so this guy we may end up picking up again, but we are going to end up getting rid of Rayshawn Jenkins. Why are we getting rid of Rayshawn Jenkins after we just traded for him? Well, now that he's 30 years old, he is normal dev, and he has dropped to a 75 overall. And again, I like a lot of things about him. I like his block shed. I like his hit power. His zone coverage isn't terrible. We may look to get him back, but for now, he is going to end up being a free agent so we can make this trade. All right, we're offering a 3rd, 5th, and a 6th because this is the only trade that's going to go through that the Giants can make because they are way over the cap as well. So we got Sheldon Daniels on the team as the backup quarterback. We're going to try to develop him as much as we possibly can because, again, I like a lot of the attributes he has as a 6'3 QB with 93 throw power and decent athleticism. The main thing that he doesn't have is accuracy. So we're hoping that Gino can help him with that. Again, looking back at the roster here, we're going to make a couple more adjustments to the rest of the team. Like we're going to move Nowak to defensive end. And looking at the draft recap one more time, is there anybody else that stood out? I did want to look at those linebackers. So let's take a look at them really quickly. We know that one of them went to the Colts. So Arrington is a 72 with 90 speed, it looks like. And he has hidden dev. He has 85 hit power, 66 zone. He looks very good. Bummer that we missed out on Damian Arrington. The other one is James Yates for the Dolphins. And Yates is a 69 overall, and he is also hidden dev out of USC. And he has 90 speed, 80 hit power, pretty good zone, decent finesse and power moves, and decent man coverage as well. So it's a bummer that we missed out on both of those linebacker prospects, but I'm happy with Christian Patterson as well. All right, again, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the offseason. I hope you guys are excited about the draft and where we're going with this team going into season number 2. Really excited for the rest of the series. And that's my favorite part of it, man, is doing the draft and just seeing how these players progress after we draft them. If you're excited for season number 2, make sure to leave a comment. Again, I appreciate you guys so much for watching this series. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace, you guys.